we're going to be in so long.
No way.
No. It'd be awesome if y'all all got A's and all got 5s. I'm serious. And that's what we want to see. We want to see you all getting 5s and getting A's. And getting into the college of your dreams and living happily ever after. All right. Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
How are these summer assignments communicated?
Great question.
I can answer.
You want it?
I mean, if you don't.
No, please. Mr. Macon?
Well, last year, and hopefully this year too, if you sign up for, we went over to the middle school. I actually went there last year and delivered the summer assignments to the middle school. And also people that are transferring in will, when they sign up for classes, they will get an AP contract. And when they sign that on there, it sets the date for when there will be a meeting to get the summer assignment. So that's how we do it. And then it's going to be posted on the summer assignments page, which is going to be the only thing, or the main thing you'll see when you go to the Norfolk County website this summer as well. I think that all worked this summer, right? Everybody got it. So, and they're all different. Mine's actually in flux right now, so meaning I'm changing it a little bit because it was kind of cumbersome to go through all of this stuff with the students with our summer assignment. It was a little bit more adventurous than it should have been. So I'm going to pass it back over.
Other questions? Yes, ma'am.
So when you go over a topic, like how long do you go over? I have a handout that I'll have up at the stage, and it has a rough breakdown of how many days we spend on each topic. And so you can see, so like just one example, the Constitution, the underpinnings of the government, I think we're there 9 days, 9 class days. So it goes through each topic.
I'm going to hit that right there. What's that?
Okay, this is more for the students, but how does this really affect your club schedule?
Club schedule.
Christina.
Okay, so it doesn't affect your club schedule too badly as long as you have good time management. I know this because I'm the historian in the FPLA club. And as long as you get your work done on time, and I really utilize my weekends, it doesn't affect you too badly.
Like she said, weekends are important, and as long as you're not staying at North Oconee until 8:30 p.m. every night, which I doubt anyone will be, you'll be fine. You're not going to have enough homework that you have to stay up until midnight every night. You'll be able to get to bed pretty early, as long as you don't procrastinate.
Yes, thank you for, as long as you don't procrastinate.
And let me just ask you guys too, does the AB schedule help you in that or hurt you in that? Like having the AB schedule, does it help you to get your assignments done or does it hurt?
Yeah, definitely. It definitely helps because I have AB with Gov and Human Geography, and so I'll do, the Gov assignment before I have Gov and the AP Human assignment before I have AP Human. So I don't have to do them both on the same day. And I have 2 days to do an assignment. It takes a long time.
Would you have them tell what classes they took as a freshman, just to kind of give them an idea of like your workload?
Just before we move to some other questions, will you tell the group here what classes you took as a freshman, just your schedule?
Ooh, okay. So my schedule is kind of weird.
Let's do all of them.
Yeah.
All right. So let's see. I have health and PE, which is required. Then I have honors lit, honors 9th grade lit. Then I have, let's see, I had accelerated 2, which is analytic geometry B and advanced algebra. So that's the class before pre-calculus. And I have AP Gov, AP Human Geography. Then I have pre-calculus this semester, honors biology, and then marching band and concert band.
That's the whole year, though.
That's his whole year.
That's the whole year, not just the semester. I did.
So I had Latin 1, and I'm taking Latin 2 right now. I had honors lit, health and PE, AP Human.
Hold it closer.
took the math under quiz. Oh no, did I have more classes? I don't think I did.
I took AP Human, AP Gov, the class under Heathens, Honors Biology, Drama Fundamentals, Acting 1, 9th grade Honors Lit, and yeah.
And most people take foreign language freshman year because you need at least 2 foreign languages for most colleges, and then 3 for some. So
But
it's,
most people don't
I
take it
haven't
for
taken foreign
freshman.
language because I never on my schedule, but I would probably recommend taking it freshman year just to get it out of the way.
All right. More questions? And
This actually has something to do with what Keith just said. At the or at the middle school, they recommended that if they take the 2 AP classes, that they not take a foreign language 9th grade year. So,
Sophomores, more people take it sophomore year than freshman year, the foreign language for sure. We do have a handful of kids that are taking it as freshmen, but most students are going to take it their sophomore year. You have plenty of time to take the foreign language sequence in the sophomore year because you take 1 and 2, and then you'll take your 3rd level, and then you can get to the AP level by your senior year if you wanted to. So. We do have kids that take the foreign language sequence. Obviously, Keaton is probably a student that is very he's an anomaly because he is taking 2 AP classes at the same time, and he took and he was advanced in math when he came in, so he was taking the sophomore level math as a freshman, and then so a lot. Students' schedules and their paths all look very different. But the biggest thing that we want you guys to realize is the balance of it, what your child can handle. So we have put together sample schedules for you to see later on. But in terms of what you need to realize is if you throw in those foreign languages, you possibly have 5 academics in a semester if you take AP Human and AP Government. So that's five academics each semester. That's a lot of academics. That's like hardly any downtime. So if you can handle that, wonderful, great. We encourage kids to challenge and to take what they can handle. But please do not feel like you have to do that. That is a lot. That's a lot to be signing up for. And so students and parents, we want you guys to know that so that when you're in it and you're like, "Wah!" you knew, okay? So because that does happen. That does happen. You kind of have to take a minute when that happens. Yes, I mean we have not been able. Dr. Blackburn, do you want to answer that? If they have chosen foreign language and they wanted to opt into this AP class, and you feel like taking the foreign language might be too hard of a load with it, is that the question?
My other question is for Mrs. Blackburn also, is a couple of years ago, there was an experiment here at Norfolk County where you did the mini AP, where they had half a block of each class every day. And I know it didn't work out well for my son. Is that something y'all are still doing, or is that in the past?
Pass, it's on.
That is in the past. I guess it didn't work out so well for a lot of sons and daughters. I'm gonna tie in my part. And if there's questions, I'm gonna be around, but I don't want to bite into the human geography. Or Mr. McMegan saying to take the last one, and then I'm turning it over to you.
You have to do the commitment letter now, but if for some reason you don't get the foreign language you want and you want to have a more rigorous schedule because you don't have that language, can you sign up later? I mean, how will you know?
We have space.
You can sign up for AP.
If you opt to sign up later, there just may not be space. That's the issue. So yes, you can definitely sign up later, but we build the master schedule on numbers that we gather now. So if there's space, then you can for sure be added to that class. And there probably would be, but it very well could be full. So there is that situation. More than likely there will be space, but just to put it out there, it could be full. So
Thank you so much for listening and asking questions about AP government. And like I said, I'll be around after. I have a handout for folks that are interested in it. And also in the question answer segment following Mr. McMakin's presentation on human geography, I can also field some questions then. So thank you very much. I'm going to turn it over to my colleague, Robert Macon.
Thank you. So, yeah, I think that if you're here looking at honors and AP for this department too, you're going to do fine. If you don't have the exact combination of classes that it doesn't work out exactly like you want it to, or if you wanted to take two and you ended up taking one, you're not going to go too much wrong, because it's a really great department. When I came here, everybody here, some of the best teachers in the state and in their discipline. So the honors and AP are all excellent. So it's not a crucial decision. You've already made the decision by being here. So, so the first thing I want to say about AP Human Geography is that last year was the first time that it was offered here at the school and the first time that I've ever taught it. I love it. Like, I want to teach it all day. I wish I could teach it all day. And I really enjoy it. That doesn't necessarily mean the kids enjoy it, but I hand-selected 3 that said they wanted to talk about it today, so I assume they enjoyed it enough. But anyway, AP is very similar. They have reported to me that the writing is actually very similar between the courses, which I didn't say last year, because I didn't think it was, and I don't teach it the same way. But they're similar in the fact that both AP Human Geography and AP Government, you don't write formal essays, you write a written response to a question, and they want to make sure you understand it and move on. So you're not teaching formal writing, you're teaching explanation, really, and getting to the point. The AP World in 10th grade and the AP US in 11th grade, and those two especially, are much more formal writing and much more intense rubrics. So in some ways it's good training ground, because you're learning to write, to make a point and back it up in both courses. So, so that's nice. It's a complementary thing that the students will probably talk about. So why take it in 9th grade? So just to point out, this is not the only chance you have to take AP Human Geography. Now when I say that, it's offered to all levels right now, 9th through 12th. That doesn't mean it's going to be offered every year. We have some electives that are not popular enough, or we just choose to offer them every other year. Right now, this is the 2nd year in a row we're doing it. I believe it might be because I really wanted to teach it again and get my feet wet, and I thought that the students were talking about it and might want to have people sign up for it. So if you don't take it this year, I can't guarantee it'll be offered your 10th grade, 11th grade, or 12th grade year. But I can tell you that right now we offer it so that a 9th grader, a 10th grader, 11th grader, or 12th grader isn't currently allowed to take it. Does that make sense? So anyway, so why do it in 9th grade then, if it's not something you should only take in 9th grade? AP Gov you can take in 9th grade or senior year.
Yeah.
Right.
Whenever you can fit it in.
But usually that's going to be...
9th grade makes sense because you'd have to take Gov anyway, so you might as well take the AP Government then.
Yeah, and that's pretty important, because if you want to take AP Gov your senior year and you've already taken government your 9th grade year, that's great, but you might look back and think, why didn't I just take it my 9th grade year? This course is an academic elective that counts toward hope and all that. But why take it in 9th grade? Because it is training ground for a lot of other disciplines that you're going to be doing. I think it really works into a lot of lit, believe it or not. I think it works really well into world history, which you'll take your 10th grade year, and to U.S. history, you'll take your junior year. So I haven't seen that happen, but I've heard that from teachers around the state, that they think this helps train them in that. We have, in my judgment, an abysmally illiterate population when it comes to geography in Georgia, because it's not a big part of our standards, and it's a much bigger part of our standards than the rest of the nation. So taking AP Human Geography is going to get you way up to grade level in geographic literacy of the world, which you kind of need for world history and U.S. history. So that's another reason to do it. It's often offered in 9th grade. If you look at who's taking this course around the country, College Board lets you take courses whenever you want to offer them as a high school. And 9th grade is a very common time to take AP Human Geography. So if the College Board is not necessarily recommending that, but they're reporting that that's the case, and people's test scores they're doing quite well on that exam as well, then we can deduce that 9th grade is a pretty good time to take it. So this is, again, my first year doing it, so I haven't seen my test scores. All the test scores for students in social studies at the school are incredible nationwide. So hopefully I'll live up to that standard, and your students will too. So I would say that this is a slightly less rigorous course. In certain ways, my course is going to be easier or AP Human Geography is going to be an easier AP for 9th, 10th, 11th, or 12th graders. It's going to be easier than AP US history, for instance. So even a senior taking, or a junior taking AP US or AP Human Geography, they'd say, well, AP Human Geography would be much easier for you. So here's a little trick. In 9th grade, you haven't taken world history yet. So you may not have a good concept of the world. Those of us who have traveled or have much more exposure to even one part of the world tend to do really well in this course so far. It seems like people that have had any exposure to other countries or other regions of this country are really good in this course, because they can see the comparison between different urban areas and different rural areas and things like that, different cultures. Okay, so we can move on to the next one. So overall, on the last slide it said, what is the course about, which I think you'd like to know. It's not locating things on a map, but it's instead thinking about why things are where they are, and being able to do that in terms of like why are cities where they are, why are 4-lane roads where they are. I thought about that on the way here when I was leaving Athens, and it took me 45 minutes to get here instead of 15. I thought about the infrastructure. So the students have to think about infrastructure a lot. The courses, or the units are almost like distinct courses. I have students that are getting A's on certain units and low B's on other ones, and students that are flipping, which is really cool to see. I have some students in the language and religion section, unit 3 and 4, that because of their upbringing do really well in that and don't do as well on economic geography. So it's kind of nice. The students are taking 10 or 11 mini courses in very different phenomena. So for instance, political, or was it population geography, unit 7, we ended up switching these around because I felt the sequence was better to do it a different way. So next year, population geography will actually be second, and that's basically studying birth rate and death rate, and why populations grow in some places and why they're not growing in other parts of the world. So we're looking at indicators that show what population growth is all about. Doesn't sound very, I'm mentioning that not because it's exciting, but because that's a very mathematical unit. And then right after that, we go into cultural geography, with religion and language, and students are studying styles of dress, and they're studying foods, and they're studying all kinds of things that are not even related to population geography. So I would just say that in the spirit of what was attributed to Keaton earlier, I think, whether he said it or not, I don't remember. But earlier was said that you have to be interested in the subject. If you're interested in the world, this is great, okay? You're going to find out about looking at the world from a bunch of different angles, economic, political, cultural, etc. If you're just not that interested but you want to take an AP, we had a student today in our class, right, that said she's doing well, but she wishes she hadn't took it because it's not what she's interested in. She's not really that interested in the world or in social studies, and she's doing well. But the vast majority of students that signed up for this course, you can ask them and see if it's true, but have enjoyed it because they were interested in the world to begin with. They had an interest enough. So that, I would say that's a big thing, is if you're not that interested in the world, but you're more science, math, you don't really, not that fascinated by the world's cultures and such, then I wouldn't recommend pushing your kid into it, because it sounds already like your kid might not be that interested. One last thing there, though. I've had some students who consider themselves more science-oriented kids that enjoy the population, the economic, and the political unit because there's a whole lot of analysis in it. So they enjoy those labs. We do a lot of labs. We actually start every unit with labs. There's actually also a film series that brings you to different parts of the world that we also do a lot of. So that it's not like any other course I teach, it's very conceptual. There's not as much memorization. So students that really like to have their definitions to memorize and then hope that that's what the test is going to be about, didn't like the first test. They didn't like that they had to explain these bigger concepts and analyze these maps and charts and explain them. But then all of those students so far that had good study skills were thrown off for the first unit or two, and then they've grown and matured intellectually and academically in incredible ways. So I just say the adjustment to going from memorization to conceptual is a little tough for people, but everyone has weathered it so far. So that's good. And that's a very different, Ms. Cole is also a conceptual person in my judgment, but teaches a course that does involve a little bit more of the mechanics of our government and the Constitution. So the exam requires that you have a different level of detail than in AP Human Geography. Okay? So pros and cons. I kind of mentioned most of these, but I want to go over to the cons. Taking AP your freshman year is not recommended for everyone. We said that last year, but we are finding that more students in our class, I asked them today, the ninth graders, do you think that more students should be taking this course from ninth grade? And more people said more should be taking it than said they wish they hadn't took it. Make sense? So there's little regret that they took this course, but there's a little regret for their friends that their friends didn't take it. So that's something. Also, it doesn't take the place of any of these courses. So if you take this course and you're like, I thought this was my required ninth grade course, it isn't. You don't need to take it, but it is an excellent AP to take. And it's one of only two still, Ms. Blackburn, that's offered freshman year, right? It's the only two. So the only two APs you can take are these two your freshman year. So if you're somebody that's going to add a lot of APs later, then it would clog up your schedule to take AP Human Geography your junior year, your senior year, and be harder to do that. On the left side, only thing I haven't talked about, is the third one. Even though I said there's a little prerequisite knowledge, I think that's true for all but 2 units. 2 units, it's really nice to have that world history already, and ninth graders haven't taken that yet. And I think that's it for now. Okay, and that's our email addresses. Oh, there is a summer assignment. The summer assignment this year, I'll let them talk to you about, and then I'll turn, if you guys want to ask questions, I'll try to deflect as many to them first, and then I'll answer them too. So can you guys come on up? Yes?
I just had a quick question about how much homework and Good, time. Thank you.
Yes. Homework question. Whatever I say doesn't mean anything. You guys.
Homework.
There's a lot of homework. We have homework basically every night.
Well, I'd say it's similar to AP Gov, not too much difference. I don't think it's extreme. I was kind of nervous about coming and taking both these APs because people tell you that it's a ton of homework, and it is. It's a good bit, but it's not insane. You'll be able to handle it.
The homework for AP Gov and the homework for AP Human Geography are really different. So I would say the Human Geography homework, it looks like a lot, but it's not that hard to do. So.
I find the human geography homework to be a lot more fun though, because like you learn like really cool things and it's not difficult really.
I noticed for both these classes, there's a lot less busy work than there is in a lot of middle school classes. Most of the work you're doing is going to help you on the test, it's going to help you learn, and it's really beneficial, the homework is, as opposed to just work to take up time.
And I would say always do your homework in the AP classes because they actually take it up and you'll never know when they're going to, so you should always do it.
Yeah, definitely do it. Like tonight I'm going home to watch 4 videos.
In 4 days. That's true. They're 10 minutes long each. Give me that mic.
About 6 minutes.
What's that?
6 to 8 sentences.
6 to 8 sentences, about a 10-minute video. I think you can do that. But just kidding. No, you're good. So yeah, there's just to mention that there's we have a very small textbook in AP Human Geography, and because the exam has changed a lot, it's only been in existence for about 11 years. So since it's changed so much, then textbook companies are working really hard to come up with the perfect book for the course as it changes. And your school has bought the best and nicest new books, and they're actually quite small. And so as a result, the students do a little pre-reading, and then it's my responsibility to go over these concepts with them in class. So the reading is actually not so difficult. The labs are what we do, and for each unit there's 2 different labs, maybe 3, where they'll go home and they'll have to do stuff using maps on the internet and report on statistics and analyze. Like the last lab we did was on where would you put the next Major League Baseball team, and they had to do some analysis to figure that out. So that's the kind of stuff that we'll do. So by nature of the course, they'll have to do more of that kind of homework than reading, because our books are small, because labs and analysis is required. Yeah.
So you did both AP classes in your, and so is it 1 week is A, B, A, B, A, and then the next week is B, A, B, A, B, so?
Every day in school is going to flip, even if we have a 4-day weekend or whatever. It'll be, if you stop on video, it's our name. And just to mention, I was going to mention to you, because you mentioned A being it was something easy. If you do that, and then you still take both courses, you might end up having both APs on the same day, which is no good, right? That's bad.
Well, it's not bad if you manage your time correctly, but if you have the 2 AP classes together on AP, then you basically can't procrastinate because you have an assignment due each day. But if you have them separate, then if you don't manage your time well, you're going to have homework for both classes due on the same day. You'll have 2 days to do them still, but you need to utilize both days.
And I find that almost all busy Americans procrastinate a little bit, so I would say try to AP it. Well, that's not my job, but I would say that if you do end up with having two AP classes on the same day, it's going to be a difficult day for the kid either way. Other questions? Yeah.
For both of the AP classes, like how big are the classes? Is it like 20 kids or like how many people?
Ms. Blackburn, based on your past experience, how big do you imagine these classes will be?
I'll have all the AP classes at the 28 state limit,
I think, not to get into scheduling too much, but you know, once you, if 56 people signed up for the course, there could be 28 classes of 28, and then once you get into like the 65 range, then it gets kind of tricky for first people that are scheduling. So it worked out this year that I have a 19, a 21, and a 24 for my 3 AP human geographies. And do you have it in
I'm
the
at
news?
28, 27.
So-
I'm up there.
So she's maxing out, you know, 28, 27, but if 15 more kids signed up, she'd probably have 3 sections of it, and then there'd be smaller classes. So it's really hard to tell, right? Yeah. Good question. Yeah.
So I heard that some schools like Georgia Tech won't accept AP credit for this course regardless of the score that you get on the AP exam. Do you know anything about that?
Yeah. So if you, Ms. Blackburn actually asked me to say that during my presentation, I forgot. If you already have an idea of the colleges that you're thinking about, and especially if you know your child might want to get an engineering degree or go to Georgia Tech or other tech schools, then check it. And there's not one place that we can, there's not one document that tells us all this. It changes from year to year by the colleges. So if you do go to the same site, College Board, and then there's a college search on there, and you can click on it and say requirements, and then you can say AP transfer or something like that, or something where you can see what they do accept. So it's actually really a good idea to look at that as you're going into the courses too, because in some schools you take AP US, and if you get a 3 or a 4, you can get 1 semester of credit. If you get a 5, you get 2 semesters of credit at UGA, for instance, I think. So everything is different, and like she said, it doesn't have to be, I mean, I would have said the same thing about the Harvard, that's true. At some places, they want you to take AP biology just to get into the school, and then you get there and it doesn't count for anything, because you got to take their biology, which is going to be harder than the AP biology. So I would just check it. But if you see a trend where a lot of people aren't taking AP Human Geography as a credit, let me know, but I haven't seen that. It might just be because it's a course that Georgia Tech doesn't think is something that would fit into their curriculum to begin with.
But in that regard, if your student has an interest in taking AP Human Geography, it becomes more of a matter of making you competitive for college admissions. The goal is not to get the credit. So it's to add the number of, to increase your rigor so that when you do apply, you're looking like a strong candidate because you have several APs. So if the interest is there, then it's still good to take those APs, even if a certain college wouldn't accept the credit, because the goal is different. The goal is different. It's not about the college credit. But if you're looking at trying to take multiple APs and you really do always want to get that credit, then checking that list is very important. But you may always have classes that don't, will give you credit at one school and won't give you credit at another school. So, when you're going to be a senior and you're applying to all your colleges, that may very well be the case, that you've taken classes along the way that necessarily didn't give you college credit for it.
And in my experience, that's something you really want to look at in your junior and senior year, because then you're looking at finances too. Can my kid finish in 3 years and we save $20,000 or whatever? So I think that's much more important than them. But I would agree that at this point, it would be the less of the, it actually would come into it when you're trying to decide between AP Gov and AP Human though, right? Yeah, that makes sense.
I just want to talk for a second about the scheduling of the courses in the AP. I've had the slide up there for a little bit, and the previous slide showed band on B-Day, where the student, AP Gov Honors shouldn't be on there anymore. That should say band now. Let me go back up to the other slide. But what you'll wind up with, and it's not going to guarantee to be first block. It can be any block of the day. You'll AB the 2 courses that you pick. So if it's AP Gov and AP Human Geography, those could be first, second, third, fourth block. If it's chorus, that has to be fourth block because we only have our fourth block. So that would be where your AP Gov class would wind up, or your AP Human Geography, if it fits with your schedule. Mr. Smith would probably not be pleased for me to put band on a B-Day here. It is an option for freshmen. And you would want to talk to him to find out, Mr. Smith is our band director, if you are a student who needs to be in band every single day, then this may not be what you should pick for your B-day option or your A-day option, however your schedule's going to wind up panning out. This is an extremely rigorous schedule. Mr. Culp, when we came over to the middle school, he would say this is a 10 out of 10. This is a really rigorous schedule. If you look at second semester, that is 4 academic courses. All of those courses have between 30 minutes and an hour of homework every night. Add it up. So the band day, not the Band-Aid, the band day, B-Day would be your only day you didn't have 4 academics, on that semester. So this is an extremely rigorous schedule, with Spanish being an academic course. We want you to weigh your options and think about your sanity. Be prepared to make your first B. I'm saying that because you're coming into kind of adulthood here. And it could be your first B ever on a test. I developed TMJ dysfunction when I got my first B. It stressed me out so much. But it's sometimes something that we say, okay, I can handle a B right now. Let me just get to the next test. Let me move forward. We have some students that come in and think that they can drop it. And that is very, very, very difficult. Because we don't have anything to pair it with. And then you don't have a government option for your 9th grade year. Okay, this is fantastic. I love these courses. I want you to take them. But I want you to also look at yourself and really think about your stress levels, your co-curricular. That was a great question, whoever asked it. If you know that you play baseball and you wind up with that schedule, spring semester, how are you going to do 4 hours of homework every night or 3.5 hours of homework every night? You really balance your freshman year. As they also said, you have time later to take these AP courses if you want. They are offered. I don't anticipate this AP Human Geography not being offered again during your high school career. It's a popular course. But I want you to think about it and do the very best thing for you and for your family and for your sanity. You still have to walk your dog. You still have to feed them. You still got to do all that stuff and this rigorous schedule. Now, the good thing about it is you only have 4 courses at a time usually, 4 or 5 with the APs. So it's different from middle school where you have 6, 7 classes, right? 7? You have 7 classes? No? I think she fell asleep. Do you have 7 classes? 8. Okay, so you have 8 classes at a time right now in middle school. Here you would have a maximum of 5. So that is a good thing about the block schedule. Later, we have 8, but right now we're going to be here. So I'm going to turn it back to them, but I wanted to talk about the schedule. Do y'all have any question about the AB piece of it? Have we made that make sense? I just want to make sure, because that's very confusing for some. And let me say this. If you wind up with a 3rd block AB course, you might have lunch at different times every other day. Because you go to lunch with your 3rd block class, so you go to lunch with government one day, you go to lunch with band the next day, you go to lunch, so that's just something to consider.
Just a point of question here. So when you said a 10 out of 10, were you saying this schedule or the one with AP Human and AP Gov?
This is a 10 out of 10 according to Mr. Cole.
Okay.
The one with both is probably a 12 out of 10.
Okay.
And
So
then that
just
one
to-
is a 15, I don't know.
Okay. All right. So yeah, she's saying that this is very difficult, but which would make AP Gov and AP Human more difficult. Yes. Any other questions? Nothing else? Anything for the students that you're just curious about? These are 3 students that are taking both. So if you want to ask them any other questions about taking both, now would be the time.
So I understand APing it, but wouldn't that leave an entire block empty? That time period where that social studies would be for AP Gov?
So just to answer that, see how first semester you'll take AP Human on Monday, then Band on Tuesday, then AP Human on Wednesday, and Band on Thursday. You already know that? Oh, she already knows that. Okay. So women do what?
Like, if you were arranging a schedule, like you had math, and then like Gov, and then your 2 electives, like your AP Gov with your 2 electives, what would you do with that empty block? Would it just be an elective?
Yeah, I see. So, do you guys understand that question? So, I guess what she's saying, the AP thing does throw me off. It threw me off when I started teaching here, but if I understand you correctly, you're just wondering what's happening when you're not going to that AP class, right? So you're taking 2 courses for the whole year. Sounds like Ms. Blackburn's going to explain it better. Okay, so you're taking 2 courses over the whole year instead of taking them in the semester. So you take just the same amount of class time. You just have it every other day. And the purpose of that is to give you more time to do assignments, and there's a couple of reasons for it, but it really allows for more flexibility in the schedule. So, I don't know, for your particular, I don't know what electives you would consider, like if you want to do 2 AP classes, or if you want to do an AP and, or an AP government and pair it with what they mentioned, a year-long health and PE, or year-long AP human geography, but you're going to get just as many courses in. You'll just do them over the course of the year instead of in one semester. So all AP courses go for the whole year in this case. Yeah. Oh yeah, there's a couple of questions over here. For the kids?
Well, I actually,
What you were just saying about the AP and why they do it all year long is because you don't want to take that AP exam in May when you finish the class in December.
Absolutely.
But also, if they were to take the AP Gov and the AP Human Geography, both classes, are they more likely to get the block that's going to be mostly 9th graders?
Ms. Blackburn. Sorry. So she just asked if they would like to AP the 2 AP courses, and they check that, are they likely to get it?
are they more likely to get those classes if they choose both? And are they more likely to be in a block with mostly 9th graders?
Oh, you're going to get the courses, right? I mean, right? If you sign up for AP, we're going to figure out a way to get you an AP. So whether we'll get you in the course that has the AP, we'll do our best to get you in to AB those 2 APs if you want. To AB the 2 AP courses, we'll do our best to do that. There's no guarantees, but so far we've gotten that.
When I design the master schedule, I look at all the requests, AP Human and AP Gov, because they're offered to 9th graders, those are offered during the same block. I'll also put the health and PT in that block. I'll put a band in that block. Usually I'll check and see how many course selections I have, and if it's just for AP Human, that'll go to the block as well, or if it's just for AP Gov, that'll go to the block. If I need to, I'll put both for the block. So I go through and look at everybody's kind of individual requests, and then build based on that.
It seems to me too, just from looking at the courses, that students that are transferred in may have a more difficult time making any kind of schedule work. So we've had a couple of people 9th graders that are not in the course with a bunch of 9th graders, but all the students coming from middle school into our school have pretty much been able to get into that grade.
And I think I misunderstood the question that was asked over here earlier. And the question was, if you ask for foreign language and you don't get it, can you get into the AP Gov later? And the answer they gave was excellent. The computer will load those core classes first, or core, and then load the rest. So you're essentially, it's very rare to not find your core in there. Your digital tech or your weight training might not make it into your schedule, but those first 4 usually do. Math, science, English, social studies are usually, and then I'll work over the summer. I do freshman corrections, or I did last year, to schedule, and I'll call if I see that you didn't get, something that you really wanted, and I'll try to get those foreign language classes in there as well if that's what you want.
And then real quick, again, these 3 students are taking both. I think 2 out of 3 of them said they might change their schedule if they could go back, and I just wanted you to hear their words on that. So how might you change your schedule if you could go back?
Honestly, if I could go back in time, I would have dropped my Latin 1 and Latin 2. I would have stuck with my AP classes, but I feel like my foreign language was just not a good fit for me this year, and probably would have waited till next year.
Okay, thank you.
This first semester that I came here, I transferred from a different school, and semester, and I probably would have asked, like, switch it around so I didn't have like 4 core classes to do.
Throughout middle school, I considered myself very math and science oriented, so I was kind of disappointed that it was only social studies APs offered. But once I got into them, my interest level in the just in the content really increased. So I'm a lot more interested in social sciences now, and I've noticed I can apply it to daily life a lot.
Okay, good. That's good to hear. And along those lines, since we force them to take social, if they want to take AP, they have to take social studies. It's kind of a good thing for somebody who knows their math and science to get that background so that when they go into the world in the U.S., they're very familiar with those concepts. So that might be another reason that if you are math and sciencey and highly motivated like Keaton, then to go ahead and do it. Okay, and there's one more question here, right?
So if you take both of the AP courses offered, is that going to drop one of your other electives?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, okay. You need to take essentially 8 electives to graduate, right? So you're dropping an elective, you could say it, but we usually think of it like, yeah, you're not taking an elective. So it isn't that you're taking an academic elective. So AP Human Geography is an academic elective, whereas AP Government is a core class.
And I'm so glad you asked that question. Outstanding. Okay, if you are adding AP Human Geography, you're taking the Gov, you're taking the Human Geography as well, it will be very helpful for me if on your form you write, please drop Intro to Digital Tech, or please drop Intro to Business, so that I know when I go into the computer which one you really wanted to drop off. You can put on there also, please move it to an alternate. You know, you can take one of those 3 or 4 courses that you pick, but write that for me, because I'll be the one to go in with these AP commitments and change your course, requests. So if you write that out for me, I can do that then. I had a very good question in the back. What if you want to take both? Do you need 2 forms? Last year we did not make them do 2 forms, correct? Because it's tonight. In high school, when you're in high school, you'll have to have a form for every AP class. You can write both of them, AP Gov/AP Human Geography, up in the upper right-hand corner there. But again, tell me which elective you'd like to drop or which alternate you want to drop so that I can get that taken care of, so that we're building a schedule that you can live with. Okay, remember those alternates you picked very well might wind up in that schedule. We've warned you on that one several times.
And also, I just wanted to mention to you, what's your name? Anna. Anna, we haven't gone through registration. So when you said drop your electives, I was thinking, well, we haven't signed up for classes yet, but you guys have. So yeah, so you would be dropping an elective and adding that. So just make sure, like you said, you notate that. Yeah, and then also we will visit the middle school and bring summer assignments to you once you've signed up for that. Another question? Yes?
I was told that you don't get a lot of AP classes, like that doesn't happen a lot. Is that true?
You don't get a lot of AP classes?
Like